you so much. Thank you for this opportunity and welcome everyone on this Saturday evening. Thank you for taking time out and doing what I have always said is an uncommon behavior, because most of the other people are either WhatsApping or discussing something which is non-consequential, discussing someone's marriage, someone's affair, and all those stupid things. But thank you for taking time out and being with us on this call. And yeah, so my association with Yuvale is something which has now become a second self. It is I can safely call it is home away from home, right? So that is how it is. And yes, how do we make adaptability a DNA? And for that, let me share my screen, and I can see some old faces coming back on the session. So happy to see Bharat Gadvi sir. We have Aparajita, we have Akshara on the call, we have some people, we have Seema ji on the call. Fantastic, right? So we missed all of you all these days and the weeks that we've had our session, right? So we are going to talk about three things today. We are going to talk about, may not be three things, but at least two things. We will talk about agility, we'll talk about adaptability, and maybe later on we will talk about resilience. And I think so these three factors are very, very important for us to build a growth mindset, right? And growth mindset is the need of the hour, not a fixed mindset. Right? And I've spoken about mindset before. Some of you would have heard me talk about it. But the question is, am I building my growth mindset? And that growth mindset will help us usher in a culture of change. Right, and we are in the midst of a business world or the business ecosystem which demands change at an unprecedented rate. Change itself has changed, right? And I would request all of you to go to YouTube and watch a video of a person called Gary Hamel. Garhyhamel, Gary Hamel. He's one of the top 10 thought leaders in the world, a fantastic speaker. And he talks about management 2.0. How we need to realize that the things that we did in the past and that brought us to whatever level we are today, as a person, as a society, as an organization, as a country, as the world, if we want to move to the next level, we need to understand that what brought us here will not take us any further. And we need to realize that I cannot be into a routine. I cannot be into a rut. I cannot be doing the same thing every day. And many of us, for those who are working, I hope you will agree with me that it's the same thing that I do. It's the same thing that we do day in and day out, and the days become weeks, and the weeks become months, and the months become years, and then one fine day, we realize that we are now obsolete. We are not up to the mark, right? So we will be found wanting. So very, very important that we understand to align these three factors, the agility part, the adaptability part, the resilience part, and each of them can become a big, big series. But we'll not go into the depth of it, but I'll introduce some things with you. Hopefully that will help you, and please make notes, right? And okay, so let me ask you a question. Why do you think change is important? If change is important, let me clarify that. And if you think change is important, why is it important? Am I still audible?
Sir, may I say?
Yes, beta. Yes, absolutely.
Sir, first of all, I'm so blessed. I'm so happy to see you after
Thank
like
you.
all the COVID things and everything. I was so
Yes.
tensed about you. Maybe I never met you, but still I felt so connected with
Thank you,
you,
Vedanta.
like with your sessions and everything. So I felt very bad at that moment. And today I'm feeling very blessed to see you back again in a healthy condition. And I
Thank you so
really
much.
pray to God that like you stay healthy forever.
Thank you. Thank you so
So
much for your blessings and prayers. Thank you.
yes, you were talking about why change is required. So first of all, I think that we are humans, and that is only one thing that can keep us human mentally, because sometimes we start behaving like animals because if there is no change. So
That's
if
right.
we keep on doing the same thing and again and again, we have seen our mothers or we have seen the women who are working in the house and they have never seen changes. Not talking about women who are nowadays women, the women who were in the previous days, our grandmothers and great grandmothers. I have seen them getting frustrated or like not getting anything in life, and their mind also cannot. Uh, get diverse or they don't learn anything throughout their life. So to learn and to get a growth, and secondly to stay human as human as possible, I think change is required, sir.
Fantastic, right? So I'm making my notes. So I have my notebook and my pencil with me. Um, Make sure that you have a pen, pencil, and make notes. So thank you for those kind words, and thank you for your prayers and your concern and your well wishes for me. Because without all your prayers and well wishes, I would not be here doing this session. So I appreciate that. Cross my heart and say thank you for that. And I think so.
Maybe there
The
are
period
some people have put uh, their answer
in
or
the
their
chat
response
box.
is text.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, great. Thank you, sir, for helping me with that. So before I look at the chat box, I would want to thank you for your concern and your prayers, and also for your answers. Right. So basically, it talks about change helps us stay human, right? And it's all about growing, right? So that's a wonderful answer. We will look at it. Let's look at some other answers. Some people say it is a need of the hour. Some people say it is to survive, right? Something new is always appreciated and required. It makes you live and ready for the next level. Okay, change is the new change for new ideas and innovation to get energized out of boring life, right? So great answers. Thank you so much, right? So next question: are you willing to change? Are you open to change? Say yes or no. Don't write in the chat box. Yes, we are is some
Yes,
answers
sir.
I can
Yes,
see. Yeah, so great, right? So
yes, yes.
let's do a quick activity. I hope all of you have a paper and pen with you. So can you confirm if you have a paper and pen with you?
Yes.
Okay, great, right? So
Yes.
I would, if possible, let me stop sharing this so I can see a larger what should I say, names and tiles on my screen. If you can open up your videos, that would be great. If it is possible for you, no compulsion. Request you to open up your videos for maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds. I can see Nikhil, I can see Ajit Saab, I can see Prakriti, I can see Aparajita. Thank you. Thank you for respecting my suggestion. Okay, so I would want to see you give yourself an autograph. So on the piece of paper that you have, please give yourself an autograph. I'm not using the word signature because all of you do so well in life. So your signature has become an autograph. Mohinder Saab is also there, right? So great to see Mohinder after a long time. The evergreen, ever smiling. Awesome,
Same here, sir.
Mohinder.
Same here.
thank,
Blessed to be there with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right. And okay, so have all of you signed and given your autograph? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Can you just put up your papers and show that yes, you have?
I don't know is it visible or not.
That's okay. That's okay. I trust that. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I can see Ashish with a nice moving background. With all the technology he knows, I think so he can do all this. I can't do that. Right. So thank you. Now, a quick activity. If you have signed that particular page with your right hand, now use your left hand to draw, to write your, or to put in your autograph. अगर आपने राइट हैंड से लिखा है तो लेफ्ट हैंड से लिखिए, अगर आपने पहले लेफ्ट हैंड से लिखा है तो राइट हैंड से लिखिए. बेसिकली यूज द अदर हैंड टू पुट इन योर ऑटोग्राफ ऑन दैट पेपर. And I can see some nervous smiles on your faces.
Don't ask us to show.
I will not. I will not. Right. So was it easy or difficult?
It's difficult.
So for me,
Very
it's easy.
difficult. Very difficult.
Yes. So for some of
it's easy because I tried it before.
Okay, great. So Aparajita, for her it is simple. So some of you who are ambidextrous is a word which talks about, I can use both hands to do my work. But for most of us, majority of us, it would have been slightly difficult. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That is what is change. That is difficult. That is very, very difficult. Now do this in the evening whenever you change your dress. So if you're wearing a t-shirt, do you put your right hand first? Do you put your left hand first, or do you put your head first and then wear the t-shirt? There will be a pattern that we do. Yeah. Just think about it. Now just try to do something different. If you put your head first and then if you put your arms, try putting your arms first and then put your head. So whatever you do slightly different. If you wear a tie, I'm sure Mohinderji would be wearing a tie because of the role that he is in, and some of you may be putting in a tie. So if you wear a tie, if you tie your knot of the tie, if I put my right part of the tie over the left, try doing the left over the right, or either which ways, and you'll find it very, very difficult. One more quick activity. Fold your hands like this. And just see whether your right hand is over the left hand or the left hand is over the right hand. It would be one over the other, right? जो भी किया है, अब उसका उल्टा करो. अब उसका उल्टा करो. थोड़ा सा अटपटा सा लगता है, थोड़ा सा weird लगता है, right? So that is what change is, right? So one of the first statements that I want you to understand, make a note of, and maybe remember in life is, we as human beings don't resist change. Like I asked you to do it, you did it. But we resist being changed. I'll repeat for the benefit of everyone. We don't resist change, but we resist being changed. Now, if I tell you to make writing with your left hand a part of you, you will say it's too difficult. So maybe if you are in my circle of influence, you may still do it out of respect. But the minute you go back to your world, you will go back to your older ways of doing whatever you are doing. Right? So people don't resist change; they resist being changed.
Sir, this statement is $1 million statement you have said.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ajit Sahab. And that is that inertia that we have to break. Okay, chalo. आगे बढ़ते हैं. आप में से कुछ लोग ने MBA किया हुआ है. I definitely know one person on this call उसने किया हुआ है, and I know others also who have done it. Right? So have you seen a product life cycle graph, or have you seen a change curve? Okay, Prakriti, can you explain what is a change curve? Sorry to put you on a spot. My apologies first and foremost, but tell me what is a change curve?
So, like the product life cycle or the change curve, it starts with the ideation, like launch or something new, innovation. Then there is development, that's the progress stage, and then you reach the peak of it, which is like when you have you've excelled that, and then it's decline.
Okay, very good. That's the product life cycle stage. But what is the change curve?
That at least I was not taught.
We will be taught in a minute, sir. Don't worry.
You will be taught in a minute, right? So I'm just trying to pull up a few different slides. So just to give.
AB, are you talking about the bell curve, the V-shaped curve?
Yeah, so those are different, beta. Those are definitely a part of it. No doubt about it. Definitely a part of it. But not as simple as that. So allow me to, but thank you for that answer, Ashish. And where is my slide gone? Okay, so what Prakriti shared with us is the product life cycle. But what I want to share with you, which is slightly different on the same lines. Why does this not change? Just give me a second.
Will you sharing the slide? Can I say something about?
Yes, please.
It is not exactly the definition of the change curve, but it might summarize the change.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever a person or system or something is going to change, the human tendency is that he will try to resist the change, or the system is try to resist the change.
That's right.
The second thing is that the difficult part is that to continue that change, or what we call as inertia, to continue with that change, and then we are used to that change, so that will be our regular thing, so it will be acceptable at the last stage. So these might be the broad 3 stages.
Very nice. Thank you, Nikhil, for that beautiful answer. And Nikhil has shared 3 out of the 7 steps. There is some issue with my sharing. Let me drop off and log in again. Give me a second. I will just log in again.
So I have connected through my phone also, so we can continue discussing that, because the system that I have sometimes behaves very weirdly as it is doing now. So Nikhil shared with us 3 of those 7 points. What is wrong with this? It just does not move. I wish I had Ashish by my side to help me with this.
If you want to share the PDF, I can send it live from my end.
Okay. So.
Ashish, you have made it very funny, huh?
Yeah, actually my lighting situation isn't the best, so I thought of playing with some filters instead.
I can see that.
Sorry for this, but some technical glitch I'm facing. Just give me a minute.
be, let's say, looking at that change cycle, cycle of change. What are the different stages through which you go
I think so.
before,
I am
before you really change?
now able to do this.
Sir, I have one observation that for change or grow, some resistance is required. If there is zero resistance, you can't progress.
May not be a progress, but you may not have looked at probably the all possible pros and cons about it, or you may not have, let's say, understood well, and therefore the journey of change may not be as smooth as if you had really discussed and thought through.
Sorry to interrupt, Patel sir. Please make me the host or the co-host. Sorry to interrupt what you were sharing, sir. So sorry for that. Am I the co-host now? Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sorry for sharing that and stopping you there. And this is what I wanted to share with you. And let's learn this. And we had Nikhil talk about 3 of the 7 steps. And this is what we want to learn in terms of change. So these are the 7 steps of change. And whenever change hits us, it is measured on the motivation / performance angle versus time, right? And we start with an emotion of shock, right? So then move to denial and frustration, go on to the point of integration where it becomes our way of life. So when we talk about adaptability, when we talk about agility, we need to realize that we all will go from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4, point 5 to point 6 to point 7. I cannot short circuit this. I cannot go from 1 to 5 and 5 to 7. I can't jump that. Yes, I can reduce the time. I can reduce the time for me to go from 1 to 7. That is what is the meaning of the word being able to adapt to different situations, because what's happening in the external world is out of my control, but my response to what is happening in the outside world is in my hand. So I can respond better when it comes to what's happening in the outside world, right? So responding versus reacting, being prepared versus in a state of being repairing is what we are trying to understand. So let's build upon this. This is the foundation on which I would want to build this talk, and then maybe we can continue one more time. So when you think about the word shock, what comes to your mind? What behavior comes to your mind? What mindset comes to your mind? Some thoughts, some answers.
Panic can be a behavior.
Okay, so panic will be a state of mind. So what behavior would that cause?
Spontaneous, abrupt.
Erratic behavior.
Erratic. Spontaneous is good, Ashish, but it is not good to be impetuous.
Okay.
So impetuosity will be on the negative side, whereas spontaneity is good. So if I'm spontaneous, it's good, right? But if I'm impetuous, that will make me have some erratic behaviors. So any other answers?
I have a question. Generally, if it is a happy coincidence, like if we are happy about something, then it is not shock, then it is surprise. Shock is something when it is something related to sad behavior, sad kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So if I hear that any of my friend is ill, or like they are not in a good position, or something happened to them, then I'll be in shock because I'm sad about it. If something good happens with me or with my family or with my friends, then I'll be surprised and I'll be happy about it.
So that's a good way of saying that, right? So change can cause stress. Change generally causes stress, and stress is of 2 kinds. One is a positive stress called eustress, EU, and then the word stress. or it could be distress, which is negative stress. So if something good is happening to me and my family and my friends, that could be a positive stress. And if something detrimental is happening, it could be negative stress. So fair enough. Thank you. Thank you, Beta, for sharing that answer. Let's look into this. When we talk about the state of shock, can one of you read what is written here? The initial
shock on hearing the announcement.
Correct. For example, you heard the breakup of COVID-19, right? What was your initial reaction when you heard that companies are laying? Correct, scared. That's a good answer. That's a good emotion that we all experience. When you read that companies have stopped hiring, when you would have read that companies are not honoring their pre-placement offers, when the salaries have been cut, and all those pain that we all went through, the world went through in these very, very difficult times, it was more of a shock, right? And then we move to a state of denial. And remember, this is with regards to time. As time passes, we move from shock, which is your initial reaction, to a state of denial. So what would be the denial?
Will shock also have fear involved?
That's right. Absolutely. 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 It will have elements of fear, elements of anxiety, elements of uncertainty, all of that, right? So what's the difference between being anxious and being depressed?
There is a lack of security. Like we
That's
don't
right.
feel secure.
Okay. So is that anxiousness or depression?
We can say that it is anxiousness, because there is always a lack of security in us that we will get it or not, and even we can develop little insecurity out of it, or sometimes we develop some depressive thoughts also.
Okay. Thank you, Beta, for that
So
answer.
may I ask something?
Yes, please, absolutely.
How should a person understand that they are in depression?
That's a good question. We will have a full session on that, right? So there are behaviors that I can point out to that tells us that I need someone to help me mentally, right? Please remember, we all fall sick, yes or no? We all have fever. We all have something that happens in our body. There's no one on this call who has never fallen sick, who has never had fever, cough, cold, anything. Would I be right in that? Would you all agree with me? Similarly, when my mind does not work well, I need attention. So there's nothing wrong in consulting someone saying that I need help, right? So that's a different session. We'll go into depth at that point in time. But when I'm thinking of the past, when my thoughts are deep rooted in the past, I get depressed. When I'm thinking too much in the future, I become anxious. Right, and this
Anand,
anxiety.
Can we say that anxious is the first stage of depression? Can we say like that?
No, sir. As I said, thank you, Haspunk sir, for that answer. I would say it slightly differently. As I said, depression is always on the things of the past. मेरे साथ ऐसा हो गया, मेरे साथ इसने ऐसा कर दिया, मेरे साथ ये हो गया. So जो आपके साथ हुआ है, पास्ट में जो हुआ है, that is what leads to these depressive thoughts. And जब मैं फ्यूचर के बारे में एंशियस हूँ, मुझे जॉब मिलेगी कि नहीं मिलेगी, मेरी शादी होगी कि नहीं होगी, मेरे साथ कोई शादी करेगा कि नहीं करेगा, right? And all those thoughts that we have is leading us to anxiousness, right? So अभी के लिए इतना समझो. Thoughts of the past. Thank you. Thoughts of the past could lead us to a state of depression, and overthinking about the future can lead us into a state of anxiousness, right, or anxiety. So from shock, which could instill a sense of fear and make us a bit more anxious, we move to a second stage of denial. Anyone can tell what is its state of denial?
Denial is not accepting what has just happened to you.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So denial is not accepting. भैया ये तो किसी और के साथ होगा, मुझे कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, मुझे कोविड नहीं होने वाला है, मुझे ये ओमनी कौन क्या है, वो दूसरा जो वेरिएंट आया वो मुझे नहीं होने वाला, और किसी के साथ होगा. So while we are accepting that there is a change, we are denying that it will happen to me, and the behavior is here. The thought process is here. Can you read what's written in this box?
The belief that the change isn't relevant to them or their work.
Correct. So ये भैया आनंद भटनागर के लिए है, मेरे लिए नहीं है. Right? So it is for someone else. So
sir, is it a positive attitude of us?
I don't know. Right? If it is making me more careful, more conscious, more circumspect, then it is positive. But if it is making me more casual, then it's negative. So it all depends upon my response to that. Hold on, we are just starting this. We are going to go into greater depths of what we are trying to understand. From there, we come to the third stage, which is the stage of frustration. Can anyone define what would be frustration in this box? We saw shock and denial. What would be frustration here?
Sir, conflict in mind.
Okay. Regarding what? That's a good answer, beta. That's a good answer. Conflicting thoughts in your mind, opposing thoughts in your mind. And then
things are not done in our way, according to our way.
It never happens. Nothing happens in a life our way, right? It's only mommy that gives us what we want in life. If you tell mama to give you aloo puri, she will give you aloo puri. If you tell bangan ki sabji, she will give you bangan ka sabji. Apart from that, life man, no one will give you something that you want, right? So that's the hard truth of life. But thank you for that answer. This stage is, let's read what's written here. Lockdown hone wala hai.
We are going to lock this change.
No, there is no way out for me. I will have to accept it. Reluctantly, I will accept it. Remember, people don't resist change, but they resist being changed.
But Anand, in frustration, you tend to blame whatever changes happen to somebody else or to something else.
That is what you're doing here, right?
But
That is what you're.
But here you have accepted it. You've been like, okay, this is the change. Let's lock it.
You have. Let's not lock it. They are going to lock it. So you're forced into that change.
Okay.
Right? I still didn't understand this part.
Okay. For example, if I have my way, I would work from office. I would do this session in person. But the environment does not allow me to have a session in person. So they have locked me into this, and you get frustrated because you're not able to meet anyone in person. But can I do anything about it? No. So I can either say, okay, I'm not going to work this way. Or I can say, okay, this is what it is. Even though I'm reluctantly accepting it, but I will still try to adapt to this situation. So here the process of adaptability is starting, albeit very, very reluctantly. मुझे नहीं करना है, but करना तो पड़ेगा. Yeah, so hold on to your. Yes, sir.
Can we say that forcefully you have to accept the change?
That's right. That is one way of looking at it. That is one way of looking at it.
To me, frustration means you don't have any hope. आपने सारी हथियार आपने नीचे गिरा दिए.
इसको आप इंग्लिश, अजय साहब, इसको इंग्लिश लिटरल मीनिंग के साथ कंपेयर मत करिए. So this is not English as a word. आप जो कह रहे हो इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज के हिसाब से आप 100 on 100 राइट पर है, बट इसको हम एक अलग कॉन्टेक्स्ट में समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ये टर्मिनोलॉजी स्लाइटली डिफरेंट है, ये नॉमेनक्लेचर जो यूज हो स्लाइटली डिफरेंट है. आप जो कह रहे हैं वो सही है, बट इस संदर्भ में, इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हम ये कह रहे हैं कि भैया इन लोग ने ये डिसाइड कर दिया ऐसा ही होने वाला है, अब मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता.
Now I understood.
Correct. Thank you.
मतलब there is no way to refuse, deny.
That's right. अब पेट्रोल 100 रुपए का कर दिया, मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आता है जितनी बार मैं पेट्रोल पंप पे जाता हूँ, बट क्या करें, पेट्रोल तो भरा नहीं पड़ेगा. right? So that is the change
Yes.
that I'm not accepting it with open arms, right? So that is again अभी हमने start किया है. In fact अभी start भी नहीं किया तो trailer चल रहा है. We will go into the depth of it, and then you get into the state of depression. Now this depression is not the depression we understand as the emotional state that we are talking about. This depression is talking about, let's read what's written here.
Everything we do seems to be pointless. The confidence is low.
क्या मतलब है ये बात करके? ये देश का कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, ये कंपनी का कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, ये आनंद का कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. कौन समझाए इसको? You know, that state of mind where now forcefully I have been kind of forced to accept that this is the way it would be, whether you like it or you don't like it. Like how many of us feel comfortable wearing a mask and walk? You feel breathless at times, right? But the minute you see a cop, what do? हम उसको थोड़ा सा ऊपर कर देते हैं because we fear that 1,000 rupees का चालान. Yes or no? And so that is the state of depression. That is state 4. From there we move into state 5, which is the state of experimenting, or you experiment. What would this be? What would this state be?
It's like giving change a chance.
Correct. That's a nice way of putting it. Let's give it a try. करके देखते हैं ये क्या है, right? So let us try to experiment with it. Let me experiment with doing a session virtually. Let me experiment what they are saying is the new way of working. Maybe I'm opening a slight door in my mind of accepting the change because I don't have a way out. Right. So if I want to be here, I need to, as while you are in Rome, you do what Romans do. Right. So as the saying goes. So let's look at what will be the thought process here. It says, okay, let me erase this line so it helps you, and let me highlight this. What does it say? What does it say?
This is where people start questioning if this might work for them. They begin to try things out, consider the different scenarios going forward.
So slowly that small thing in your mind is opening that, चलो कोशिश करके देख लेते हैं. हर्ष क्या है? Right? Let us try. Right? While you are still not doing it, man say.
An example that comes to my mind is when we are initially sent to school, right in the beginning, we are all so reluctant, right? The first time we are ever going to school, and then slowly, all of these stages become a part of it.
Correct. That applies to a lot of different stages of life, right? So most of you are students, and you will go through different life stages, and we would reluctantly be putting into practice what we, if given a chance, would not do it. For example, if you give me a chance, would I do a session virtually or do a session face to face? You know the answer. There's no prizes for guessing that answer, right? So given a chance, would you want to work from home or would you want to work from office, right? Definitely we would want to work from office, right? So that is how the whole system is, but then we don't have too much of a choice as far as the choice or the choosing is concerned. Let's go to the third stage, or rather the next stage, which is integration. Can you read what is integration here? Or rather the decision stage. Sorry, I skipped one. So what would be the stage of, let me go back one step. Just a second. So let's go to decision stage. What would be the decision stage?
where we come on a conclusion and decide that this is what we have to do.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. Again, you're not completely in it, right? So as they say, you don't have the skin in the game as yet, right? And then you move to the next part where this is what the world says is the new normal. I'm sure you would have heard this word new normal a million times. I don't call it the new normal. I call it the new abnormal, right? And this becomes my new comfort zone. Now, I think so many of us have reached a stage where we don't actually want to go and work from office. So there are a lot of organizations that are asking its employees, would you want to come and work from office, or would you want to continue to work from home? I'm sure you know about those surveys. Schools are asking parents, would you want to send your children to school, or would you want to study online? So they currently have a hybrid version. Yeah, so that's how the 7 steps of change are there. And when we talk about adaptability, we are talking about moving from the little one came and took my mouse pad away. Anyways, right? So it is moving from, let me use a different color here, moving from step 1 to step 7 in the least possible time. So quick question, Ashish.
Yes.
Or anyone, how can I reduce the time for me to go from step 1 to step 7? So if, let's say this is T time or T minutes, hours, years, whatever it is, the unit could be anything. So how do I reduce this T, the time taken for me to go from step 1 to step 7?
Okay.
Remember I said earlier, you cannot skip a step.
All right. Okay, so if we want to reduce the time, we'll have to, without skipping, we'll have to increase the work hours or increase the man hours, meaning, or are we alone? We are not talking.
Either which ways. You can't increase 24 hours to 25 hours.
Okay.
And in today's times, you can't increase headcount.
Okay, in what context are we talking about? Like, are we talking...
So let's say take Ashish as an example. Take Ashish as a person. How does Ashish go from point 1 to point 7 in the quickest possible time, or the shortest possible time that he can take to go from point 1 to point 7?
Sir, may I try?
Yeah, please.
Sir, I think depression stage takes the most of the time, because as we can see in the picture also, it is the lowest point.
That's right.
So it is taking the most of the time. So
that's right.
If we ever feel like we are getting depressed or something, so we should quickly either consult somebody or talk to someone about our problems. And I think so that is one of the way we can decrease the time from 1 to 7.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. And thank you, Ashish, for attempting that answer. Appreciate that. So as Aparajita very rightly said, and Ashish also kind of tried to share that, see this dip which is here? Can you see this? I can call this particular state, I can call this the valley stage. It's a valley. So how do I reduce this valley? How do I kind of reduce this dip and not have it as deep as this, but kind of have it like here? So I move through this transition pretty smoothly. And for that, I need someone to help me. I need someone to communicate with me. There will be different types of communication. I need to communicate with someone whom I'm trying to help through the change cycle. For example, if we are in stage 1, I will have a different style of communication. We will talk about what will be that style and how do we communicate all of that maybe in the next session. Similarly, how do I talk to that person when I'm in denial or frustration? Similarly, when he or she is in this phase of depression, and then so on and so forth, right? So for each of these 7 steps, if I'm leading change, I need to ensure that I talk with that person understanding where he or she is at this point in time on that change curve. But this is what we don't do. This is what organizations don't do. This is what managers don't do. This is what bosses don't do. Right? They will have a standard template of an email that they send to the entire workforce. कि भैया अब ऐसा हो गया, अब यही होने वाला है. Right? So it is important that we understand that each of these 7 steps will require us to have a different communication style, and we help that person navigate through that period in a more seamless manner, in a more smooth manner, and help him or her to reduce that time frame so I can move from shock to acceptance and then integration and make it a new way of life.
Hence, I have a question.
Yes.
It is not related to this part, but something which maybe you can answer. Now, you talked about a company, right? So if it's an industry or even a company and there are 300 to 400 employees, and let us just take a note that maybe 3 or 4 people are going through such kind of a stage. So is it now possible for the company owner to deal with each and every person? Maybe you might say that they should keep a counselor for that. Okay, so just in case if I am the boss and if I ask one of my employees to go to the counselor, they might feel bad about it. Okay, our sir is saying us to go to the counselor. Maybe we are having kind of, it is what generally Indian mentality is, that going to a counselor means you are going through, like you are not sane in your mind. So that is also a issue. So how to deal with such kind of things then?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for putting that thought. So please understand, an organization may have whatever number of employees, whether it is 300, 400 or 300,000 or 400,000, right? So it does not depend upon the size of the organization. The scope of control for a manager will be 5, 10, 15 at max. So if you are a manager, in your scope of control, in your circle of influence, you will have about 5, 10, 15 people, not more, right? And one of the most important thing a manager does is spend time in developing your employees. As someone so beautifully said, the best minute that I can invest is the minute where I'm investing in developing my team. So it has to be, if you are the manager, if you are the boss, you spend time in counseling that person. So a question, when do you counsel a person and when do you coach a person? If you know the answer, don't speak. But for others, when would you coach and when would you counsel? ये इसका दिमाग खराब है, इसको काउंसलिंग के लिए भेजो. That is what people say. या इसको कुछ आता जाता नहीं, इसको ट्रेनिंग में भेजो. That is what people kind of brand others like that without giving the thought. Okay, quick. आप coaching कब करेंगे, counseling कब करेंगे?
I think counseling is done when we have to encourage someone, or we have to give him or her a motivation, and coaching is done when we are not having the knowledge what we have to do, and it is done to guide our path or way forward. Because even in school we are getting the coaching from starting to end, and this like continues.
Okay, great. Thank you for that answer. Nice way of differentiating between coaching and counseling. I appreciate your answer. Anyone else would want to give it a try?
Sir, counseling is like we have to like change if we are suffering from something and we need some path. And coaching is something like we have to upgrade in something, like we want upgradation. So we want coach.
System upgrade. Yeah, you get a notification that your mobile system is now ready for an upgrade, and we kind of update and upgrade. Anyways, thank you for your answers, and happy that you're at least participating into this. So remember this, and this is how you help someone adapt to different situations. Remember, we are all people who are interdependent. None of us is independent. So I need your help and maybe you need my help, right? So it's important that we understand that counseling is what a person needs when he or she has a mindset issue. The will part, right? So if I can make it simpler, when the issue is of will, when the issue is of a mindset, it is counseling that is needed. When it is the issue of a skill set, when the issue is skill or lack of skills, you would coach someone. When it is lack of will, you will counsel someone. When it is mindset issues, you counseling. When it is skill set issues, you would coach someone. Are you getting it? And I cannot delegate this to someone else. I cannot send someone to a counselor without understanding that what he or she is facing in his or her life right now. That is what a manager needs to be doing. That is what every one of us needs to be doing for each other, irrespective whether it's a professional setup or it's a personal relationship. Are you with me? Itna samajh mein aa raha hai aapko?
Yes.
All of you say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, great. Right. So super. Right. So coming back to what Prakriti was talking about, the product life cycle. I wrote a lot of things, so let me draw it again. So a product life cycle is of 4 steps. Prakriti did talk about it: the initial stage, the growth stage, the consolidation stage, and the decline stage. Right. So when do you think is the most appropriate time for someone to change and accept that I need to be ahead of the change curve? I cannot afford to be lagging behind. I need to lead change. So the concept that I'm trying to build here is you lead change, you don't manage change. You lead change. So I need to be ahead of the change curve. And that is what adaptability is all about. And we are going to look at various examples, and I'll give you some industry examples as well. So ye bataiye, when it is the context of leading change, when should I change? Should I change when I'm at stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 and stage 4? What's the best time to change, or the most appropriate time to change?
First half of stage 3.
Sir, I think change is a continuous process. Like from my opinion,
That is right. You are right. You are
like
absolutely right.
it's a continuous process. I can't decide like that at that moment I want to change, or at that moment I want to change.
That is why this is a product life cycle. So this is not talking about a person life cycle, right? So we are talking about a product life cycle, right? So we are talking it from an industry point of view. We are talking it from a product point of view. What you're saying is absolutely right. We change on a daily basis, right? Have you heard this word? Change is the only constant.
Yes, sir.
Is this a complete sentence or is it adhura statement? Yeah, adhura statement. So this is an adhura statement. Isko pura kare?
Yes, sir.
Pura karo.
Change is a continuous process.
Change is inevitable.
वो तो एक मतलब आप फर्स्ट हाफ की बात कर रहे हैं ना साहब, आप जो कह रहे हो सही है, but that is again the first half only.
Sir, growth, change is the constant growth.
Change is a constant growth. Okay, so she brings in an element of growth. Okay.
I was gonna say change is constant, challenges are variable.
Yeah. So challenges are also constant. You will always have challenges in life. And if you pass a day without having challenges, then you are going back in your life. Okay, so listen to this and make a note of this. Not many people understand this. At least I have not heard many people talk about this. So learn this at a young age. Change is the only constant in life. Growth is always an option. And when we talk about adaptability, we are talking about the other half of this statement. We are talking about how do I leverage the other part, that growth is an option. I have an option to grow. Not many people grow. They start at one level and they end at the same level. They don't seem to grow. Right, so we will work upon this. So this session is on the other part of this statement of change. While we understand change is the only constant, we are talking about how growth can be an option. For me to grow, I need to change. So what is the best opportune time to change? We got one answer saying that the first half of stage 3. Okay, before we do that, quick responses. Tell me which industries are there in stage 1, initial stage par hai. Or you can talk about a product, or you can talk about a company, whatever you understand.
Electric vehicles.
Electric vehicles are
Solar.
Are initial stage?
We can say they are in the phase 1.
Okay, so phase 1. So there are 3 types of electric. So there are 3 types of electrical vehicles. What are you talking about? Can you tell me what
I'm talking about 2-wheelers.
Okay, so this is 2-wheeler, 4-wheeler, 5-wheeler, 100-wheeler. Not talking about the wheelers, but there are 3 types of electric vehicles. Can anyone tell me what are the 3 types?
So like electric batteries and like power charging type. Are you talking about?
Okay, good. Thank you for doing that. But anyways, we can talk about it at a later stage. Please read. Please subscribe to business magazines. Please read the. How many of you have the current edition of Outlook Business? I don't know how many of you read Outlook Business. How many of you have business magazines? It will help you adapt to change faster. But yes, okay, that is a different topic. But electric vehicles are change at stage 1. Sorry, Ashish. Sorry, I interrupted you. So sorry.
Yeah, no issues. Actually, I was interrupting sort of. So I was trying to give an initial stage industry, which is neural computing.
Okay. So I don't know anything about neurocomputing. So I trust that you being a technologist, you will train me on that. So I trust that Ashish says so it will be at stage 1. So I take his word on that. So those are initial stages. So what will be the behaviors of companies or people at stage 1? Like most of you are, they will be uncertain, correct? So there is a bit of uncertainty, and try to relate this with the change curve. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Will be more careful
Denial
while
stage?
taking steps.
Could be denial stage. Okay, so you would be more careful is what I hear. Okay, so you could be in the shock or the denial state. Okay, so that is fair. What is or tell me which products or companies or industries are in stage 2, growth stage, where you basically start reaping the rewards of the investments that you've made in stage 1. Stage 1 also has a behavior of a lot of investments that go in, investment of time, effort, money, resources, so on and so forth, right? So this is the time that you start reaping the rewards of all those investments. So stage 2 is growth.
Fintech, I would say.
Okay, so fintech or edtech. Okay, so fintech companies, I hope they're not a bubble that will burst one day. Safe. Because their valuation is at least that doesn't make sense to me.
Pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals, which part of pharmaceuticals, sir? I can put pharmaceutical on all these stage 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But like STEM research and clinical research and all that will be stage 1, right? Vaccines, all that would be stage 1. There could be again. So when you talk about pharma, which part of pharma we are talking about, we should be clear, right? So this is stage 2, growth stage. Again, don't have time to go into that. And this is what we are trying to learn. How do you remain agile? And this is where I want to bring in the point of agility And then I shared some points of adaptability, and we'll try to marry both of them and try to understand how it impacts me and you personally. Stage 3 is the stage of consolidation. Some people call it the stage of reaching the point where everything is exhausting. No, it is not of anything else but consolidation. You are consolidating your position in the market. For example, life insurance companies or banks. Do you see a lot of life insurance companies opening up, branches opening up, or do you see those branches kind of going down in size?
Opening up, yeah.
They're shrinking. And what about fossil fuel as an industry?
Fossil fuel will be here.
Yeah.
So the days of fossil fuel are over. So we reap the benefit of fossil fuel for over 3 centuries.
Right.
Now fossil fuel are over. If we continue using fossil fuel, the next generation and the generation after next will not have a place to breathe.
Absolutely.
We are messing up the climate big time, and fossil fuel is a big contributor to the greenhouse gases and all that, right? So we can do a session on climate change sometime later on. But the consolidation is a stage where you are focusing on customer retention. Stage 1 and stage 2 is a stage where you're focusing on customer acquisition, right? So this is how you remain agile. For example, if you have Airtel as your network provider, and you tell network, I'm moving out from Airtel and moving into some other provider, they will do everything to stop you, right? So that is typical stage 3 behavior, and stage 4 is decline. So change कब करना चाहिए? Agility मेरे पे होनी चाहिए when I'm somewhere in middle of stage 2. Because remember, the energy at stage 3 is taking you down. And if you look at Reliance, for example, Reliance says growth is life. That's a tagline. So you look at Reliance, always changing while it is here. It has never become comfortable with the growth that it has had. It will always pursue and take up the new challenges. So when we talk about adaptability, when we talk about agility, we are talking about changing at stage, somewhere between stage 2 and stage 3. We'll look at examples, but I just wanted to set the context. And I hope you understand from the change curve, what is adaptability? I need to adapt to those various stages. I cannot deny it. I cannot stay in a state of denial. I need to accept there is an elephant in the room. Elephant is in the room is a word or a statement that we use to tell that there is some challenge, there are some problems. I need to accept it, and I need to move forward, and then I need to be agile. So when we talk about agility, we will talk about learning agility, we'll talk about change agility, we will talk about cognitive agility. If time permits, we will also talk about social agility. All that we will cover, and we will also cover the elements of adaptability in this, and hopefully at the end of what we want to learn, we would understand that it takes a lot of effort to make adaptability our DNA, right? So we are here. So tell me, what is agility?
So being flexible to changes.
Very good, very good, very good. Fantastic word, fantastic. Are you flexible to change? Is a question I need to ask myself. You need to ask yourself. I can give you a zillion examples of companies that were not flexible to change, like Nokia, like Kodak, like Macromax, like Motorola, like Ericsson, like General Electric, like General Motors, like Hindustan Motors. And the list is endless, like Blockbuster Videos. Good word, Aparajita. Thank you. So she talks about one important element of flexibility. When you think of flexibility, think of A palm tree. Have you seen a palm tree? It will sway. It will move. It is flexible. It's not rigid. And hence, तूफान के अंदर एक palm tree does not uproot itself. It stays there. Right? So that flexibility is an important part of agility. Good. What else is agility? Come on. Some answers.
Agility also involves swiftness, that is being quick.
Swiftness. Quick. Give me an example of a product or a company that was swift. Now, you can't take your eyes to the left and answer. That means when you take your eyes to the left, you're thinking about a logical answer. You could have taken your eyes to the right. And I, as a receiver of this communication, I will know that you will talk something emotional. You cannot take your eyes off.
Zoom.
Okay. Zoom is flexible. Okay.
Yeah. As
Sorry,
soon as
Zoom
the
is
pandemic
swift.
started, it launched this product quite well, and it shot up, went IPO.
Okay. So swiftness is what Ashish says, and Zoom is an example of being swift. Okay, so I'm not saying yes or no, but I'm just appreciating and acknowledging your answer. Thank you for that. We'll
Reliance and Adani. Reliance and Adani, we can say.
I don't know much about Adani, but why do you say Reliance is swift?
They are from a refinery to petroleum to geo. So they are shifting, isn't it?
Correct, sir. So it's not shifting. It is being swift. SWIFT or nimble. Swiftness को अगर आप दिमाग पे सोचना चाहते हैं तो एक deer के बारे में सोचिए. हरण. A deer is swift. वो कैसे एकदम मतलब it's light on its feet. It's nimble. इधर से उधर उछलती रहती है. Right. So that's swiftness. Flexibility is like a palm tree. You're not rigid. I would say Reliance is more flexible because we accept that, okay, this decision did not work and we are very willing to change.
So,
not that we are not swift.
Can I say about the recent product Mama Earth? It is continuously launching products.
Correct. So that continuously launching products may or may not be the best strategy because you're confusing your customer.
Okay.
Right? That is what Tata Motors, if I were to advise Tata Motors, I would say, please slow down on your new product launches. You launch a great product called Harrier, and then you start producing a new variant of Tata Safari. Now, I would initially be wanting to buy a Harrier. Now I'm confused. So it's in marketing language, what is it called, Prakriti?
No idea.
God, no idea. No idea, Sarchi. Please get a Geo, Madam G. And anyway, we can do a session with all your MBA students on marketing, right? So that's okay. Anyways, right?
Can we say education industry, because it had a swift change from offline education to online education in this COVID pandemic?
Okay, so that's a good example. Thank you, Akshara, for that example. So I'm happy that at least you're thinking. So I'm not saying it is right or wrong, but I'm happy that you are thinking. And when we conclude this, I will give you a lot of examples of industries that were swift, were also flexible. And the third element that makes up agility is called speed. So if we were looking at agility as a trait, I need to be swift to change. I need to be flexible to change. I need to be fast. I need to have speed in terms of change. I cannot do dhire dhire holle holle karykrams. If you do a dhire dhire holle holle karykrams, you become a bata. Remember bata? All of us went to school. All of us wear those white canvas shoes, and all our canvas shoes were bata. And once we moved out of school into college, did we go to Bata and buy a canvas shoes again? Right, and there are so many examples of products that we will look at it, right? So what is adaptability? Quick answer.
To get accustomed to the situation or change.
Okay. Good point. Very nice. Very nice. Good. Give me some more answers. What do we mean by the word? So being agile means to be quick, to respond to change, be swift and be flexible. Okay. And adaptability is, what is adaptability? Give me some more answers.
Adjusting according to change.
Okay, good. Are you adjusting or are you balancing? We will look at it.
Accepting.
More of accepting, right? So we get one more word. So accepting and adapting, okay, or adjusting rather. So here, thank you for your answers. When you talk about being adaptable, here this answer, I learned something by being agile. And when I apply those learnings in the existing setup or in the new setups in the future, that is being adapting to situations. So adapting is more with the application. Being agile is more with the conceptual part, is the more of the learning part. Right. So as of now, just hold this and understand this as of now. So what is agility? Agility helps me learn something. And what I learn needs to be applied. Because if I don't apply it, it's called learning waste, right? So adaptability has to do with the application of it. For that, I may need to accept that change. I may need to make some adjustments and I need to balance a few things out. We will look at resilience and that is what is agility, right? So we looked at 3 factors of agility. We looked at speed. We looked at okay, so think about that product life cycle again. You cannot be too quick to change. There was this product called, or a kind of a product launched by Hero Honda. So remember, there were scooters. Your generation will not understand a scooter. Anyone knows a scooter?
Yep.
Okay, so how do you ride a scooter?
Firstly, we have to kick it.
पहले टेढ़ा करना पड़ता है.
हाँ, टेढ़ा करके बाद में उसका फ्यूज थोड़ा उससे आता है. Then we have to kick many times.
फिर क्या करेंगे? चलो बुर 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 चालू हो गया. फिर क्या करोगे?
फिर उसको स्टैंड से उतार के फिर न्यूट्रल में डालेंगे और न्यूट्रल में डालने के बाद सब लोग बैठेंगे और बैठने के बाद एक्सीलरेशन का चर्चा होगा.
नहीं, उससे पहले आप गियर चेंज करेंगे.
हाँ, न्यूट्रल से थोड़ा एक्सेलरेट करके गियर चेंज फिर आगे बढ़ने की बात.
Correct. Thank you, Ashish, for that answer. Now you may find this very funny, but this is not funny, right? So this is how we rode a scooter. There was a lever on in front of my left hand. I would press that lever, change that gear, and then change according to the speed. So that's how you rode a scooter. So we Indians were used to riding a scooter and changing gears by pressing a lever. So here comes a company called Hero Honda. Right? This was way before even your parents got married. Forget about you being born. They were not even married at that time. So Hero Honda came and disrupted this market of two-wheelers and launched a bike, a moped, to be more precise. First moped that they launched, Hero Honda. Naam bolo. Okay, so not CD100 that you're thinking. It is called Hero Honda Street. Right, so let me stop sharing this and let me see if I can show you a Google image. How do I go to my
I already pulled it up, so should I share and show instead?
Yeah, please do that. Thank you for. So was this agility or was this adaptability that Ashish demonstrated?
All right, hopefully you can see my screen.
Correct,
that is
I
agility.
can. Right, so that was agile. So if you look at this particular product, go to anyone and zoom into that product. Ashish, if you can.
Sure.
Now you will see, and maybe at leisure, you will see this product Hero Honda Street being launched by Hero Honda, and it did not have a lever in front of the left handle. Are you with me? हमने scooter कैसे चलाया? We had a lever that we had to press, and then that lever was used to change gears. Now you see this. Yeah, that was the product. That was the right image. Anyways, right? So you see on the left. Yeah, you see on the left here. I hope everyone is able to see this. There is no lever here. Now this is changing at stage 1 of that product life cycle. And we Indians, we bought this vehicle and we wondered, भैया gear change कैसे करने का? ये ऐसा करने का कहाँ पर? So they were trying to do this, but there was nothing there coming in their hand, and we rejected that. We rejected that idea. So it is like, to put it in simpler words, आपने जिंदगी भर हारमोनियम बजाया है, अब आपको कैशियो दे दिया जाए. And then आप कैशियो दबाओगे, but वो हमारा, memory muscle मुझे कहाँ लेके जाएगा? आगे लेके जाएगा. So thank you, Ashish, for opening up this image and sharing it with all of us, right? So when you talk about speed of change, I need to ensure that I'm not ahead of time, because if I'm ahead of time, this product, like many other products, will get absolutely thrashed by the market, and the market will not accept it, and you lose. So the right time for change is somewhere in stage 2 and stage 3, somewhere in between that. And then there's so many examples that I can share with you, right? So let me come back to what I wanted to share with you. Anyways, even if I don't share, it is about time for us to kind of come to the end of this. So we will look at agility in detail. We will look at adaptability. We will look at learning agility. We will look at social agility. We will look at cognitive agility. In cognitive agility, we will look at concepts such as what is a flow, and how many original ideas can I generate, and so on and so forth. So let me just give you a sneak. Haan, beta.
Before you move to another topic, I wanted to ask a question. Yes. You said change is always constant in life, but growth is an option. Now here I have a question that, is it possible that you change, but you cannot grow?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? You change, but you don't grow, because you changed only at a superficial level. Right? You did not change.
How is that possible, sir?
Like you go to Bank of Baroda.
Okay.
Do you know Bank of Baroda?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I have an account, sir.
Correct. So this is a great example. You go to Bank of Baroda, they say India's international branch or India's international bank. So they just change superficially. If you go and talk to someone, that person will be doing something on his or her system, and you say, "Sir, bolo kya hai?"
Achha, basically you mean to say, sir, अच्छे दिन आएंगे.
वो तो कभी आने ही नहीं वाले, right? वो super, right? वो तो change था ही नहीं, but at least Bank of Baroda ने change करने की कोशिश करी, but that change was only cosmetic. It did not change at its core. They did not change as a philosophy. They only changed because they were forced to change. Right? But if you look at some brands that have changed and really made an impact, you can look at so many brands that have changed, learned from their mistakes, and they are now in a better position. So there are brands that will constantly take feedback from us. So we'll take more examples of that. I'm conscious of the time. So when I am wanting to change,
or the change is too slow.
Could be, absolutely.
And
thank you, sir.
One of the examples, in the pharma industry, we always used to talk about is that you are on the right track, the right direction, but if your speed is not right, the train coming from behind can kill you.
Absolutely. A great example. Thank you, Patel sir. Absolutely. You need to have speed. But between speed and direction, what is more important?
Direction.
Direction, absolutely, right? So I need to be moving at an optimal speed in the right direction, because no matter how fast you go, you're going nowhere. Right, so it's important to balance that direction and speed. And as Patel have rightly said, if I'm not changing fast enough, the train will come and absolutely butcher me. Mera keema bana denge. I'll be made a mincemeat of what I am. Right. So a good point. Aparajita is saying that yes, I can change, but I don't get the results because I did not change at the core. Right. Mera basic philosophy change. Nahi hua. For example, do you think people changed after COVID?
Sir, I think many did and many didn't.
Correct. So did you change?
Yes, sir. To a great extent.
Correct. Right. So what does that mean? It is like the minute you step out, it becomes a muscle memory for you to wear a mask. It becomes a muscle memory for you to maintain social distance. It becomes a muscle memory. You don't need to, train your mind to wear a mask. It just happens like a muscle memory, right? But as soon as the restrictions were lifted, you see how people behave. There's research that talks about people who suffered a heart attack, who had stent put into them, and in about 8 months of their recovering from a heart attack, medical research says about 80 or 85% of patients go back to their old habits of whatever led to that heart attack. Could be bad habits, could be bad lifestyle, could be whatever it is. So when we talk about change, we are talking about transformation. We are not just talking about any other change. And let me just play one last video for you to, some of you may have watched this before, but no harm in watching it again. Watch this video. Let me, I think so you're seeing 2 screens. So let me pull up one screen. How do I make sure there is only one screen visible to you? Okay, so look at this particular video and tell me, is this how we change? Some of you did not get it. Watch it one more time. You may want to watch it again.
Typewriter.
They haven't seen the typewriters.
So this generation would not have seen the typewriters, but there was a machine called a typewriter where you type in something, and once that line is over, there used to be a lever here. You press that lever so it rolls into the next line, and then you type. So this lady got its upgradation from a typewriter to a system, but others say majboot, tak, 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 tak. So if this is a change, you don't grow better. Yeah, so that change needs to result into some transformation. So when we come next time, we will look at various elements of change. A quick 1 minute. I hope I have got 60 seconds. Eid, आप सबने देखिए? Yeah? And your 60 seconds starts now. Tell me how many uses of a brick. Where did my pencil go? Okay, anyways, tell me how many uses of a brick. Quick, 60 seconds.
Build a house.
To build a house. So in construction.
Sir, in villages, build a chulha,
Okay, chula. Okay. 2, chula.
For playing cricket.
House. For playing cricket. So stump in playing cricket. That's a good answer, Nikhil. Yeah.
Wait for the orthopedic treatment.
Okay. Wait for the orthopedic. Ko tang upar laga dete. Okay. So that's a good answer. Quick.
For holding doors.
For holding doors. Number 5.
मारने के लिए
number 6.
To play something like flower plot or something like that.
Okay, so to play something, 7. Last 5 seconds.
And to mark on the floor, like the
to
color
mark on
of
the floor. Okay,
Sir,
so
exercise, weightlifting.
Weightlifting, right? So in about 60 seconds, we
How
are about
on?
20. In about 60 seconds, 20 of us gave us 7 items. So when we talk about cognitive agility, I need to have 80 items. I need to have 800 thoughts. I need to have 8,000 thoughts. So how do we do that is what we will look at in the next session, where we'll learn how to build cognitive agility. And you will also see that very few of us have differentiated answers. Like construction, 90% of people would have thought construction. Nothing wrong with that, but what is the originality of my thoughts that I'm thinking? I think so as young boys and girls, for you to progress in your life, you need to have that original ideas, something which is not Googleable, in other words, right? So we will look at it. There's a concept called zoom in and zoom out, right? So how do you zoom in and how do you zoom out? And then also called convergent and divergent thinking. So we will look at some of these elements when we meet next time.
So maybe before you close, Akshara has a question probably.
Yes, Akshara.
So I have 2 questions. One is for denial, that sometimes we deny it is for good cause and sometimes we deny it is for bad cause. So how to exactly understand where to deny and where to not?
A good question. Very good question, Peter. So the way I would look at it is I would accept it if it is creating value in my life, personally or professionally or any facet of life. If it is creating value, if it is taking me closer to what I would want to achieve in my life, if it is helping me become a better person, yes, I'll accept it. If anything that is not creating value, I would not want to do it. And as you grow, you will find a lot of pressure from the world, peer group at your age, trying to force something upon you, saying that this is the way the world operates now. You cannot think like your mother thinks, right? That was an earlier generation. Some things don't change, right? So if it is building value, yes, no matter how hard it is, I will change. If it is making me compromise on a few of my values, I will not do it.
Sir, best example is the cryptocurrency.
We will do a different session on that. That cryptocurrency is an asset, is not a currency.